Kia ora koutou. Ko himi takoinga o Sinclair. My name is Jim Sinclair and I've been in Otara a little while. I came to Auckland in '64, living in Papatai, and then went to Howick. And from Howick I went to Waiuku College. From Waiuku I went overseas to Niue Island and spent some time there teaching on the island. Twin girls born to us on the island, and what a great experience it was on Niue. Came back to James Cook High, spent some 14 years there before coming to Otara to teach at Hillary College. And I gave up full-time teaching professionally when I left Hillary and came to work in the Otara community as a volunteer after some 30 odd years of secondary school teaching. So that's where I'm at, here as an Otara volunteer, trying to make a difference in our beleaguered community. Anyone who's lived in the Howick community for as long as I lived there, and then over the years moved away and then come back to live not only in Howick but also then moved to Otara, will see the two communities are chalk and cheese. I believe myself, either consciously or unconsciously, there is a movement within this eastern area which I would have to call genocidal. Now that's a strong word, and I do say this may well be a conscious movement on some and a totally unconscious movement on others, but the masses of people, the silent majority in Otara, are probably not even aware it's going on because the whole process is insidious. It creeps up on you over the years. And I'll give you a perfect example. It's right here. The Otara Lake is a metaphor for Otara. Is it an aquatic paradise, or could it ever be, or is it a toxic cesspit? The volcanoes of Otara are sacred to anybody who has any respect for the whenua, for the land. And what have we done over the years? Almost totally destroyed them, obliterated them, but the irony is that God has come into the picture, in fact never ever left, and we have a phoenix rising from the ashes right here in Otara. It's called Green Mount. One only needs to drive past there on any day and you will see the rubbish going on the top of what is toxic rubbish. What's going on the top is clean fill. And I say, please God, let them continue. Put it up, make it a monument to Otara. And that is the issue. The English, the Brits, the Tauiwi who came into New Zealand and into this part of it, and many of them, perhaps most of them, were Scots, came across the creek at Otara, set up the first farms, set up the first agricultural building. Thomas Baird and his sons and family built their house, were prime movers in building the church, bought out the minister, Mackie, and as soon as the Presbyterian congregation of Otara found that Tara was a reference to both a male and a female's private parts, the prejudice and the the move against the name Tara set in. But Tara, for anyone who has looked into it will know, has many different meanings besides that one that upset them. I think if one looks into the minutes of the church, you'll find a record to the effect of that disturbing discovery. Puritanical minds think for some reason that the human anatomy is not nice, or certain parts are just not accepted. So the name Tara got a bad rap, and it's continued to get a bad rap because people coming to live here, taking over from the agricultural development that had come early, developed into effect a ghetto. Gangs were here in the 60s, the 70s, 80s, and it became a suburb, just a sleeping ground, if you like, for the industry in Auckland. Polynesians came in, PI came in. They were used for a time and then discarded. The people from Ponsonby were pushed out, and right now, and I'm saying into the future, and I'm chair of the Otara Historical and Future Development Trust, PI, and the poorer, the lower socio-economic people who made Otara their home will be pushed out again, because rates will rise, costs will escalate, and the people in the lower socio-economic area will not be able to cope with the prices. So there's been a long history of prejudice against the name Otara, against the place Otara, and that's all it means. The O is small, the T is the capital, it is the place of Tara, the man Tara te Irirangi te Rira, and his his granddaughter, Nyunyu, Rahira Nyunyu Tara te Irirangi Zista. She is the one who shared the information about her tupuna with me. But the name Tara goes back way beyond that fine gentleman of Ngaitai te iwi, Tainui te Waka, when Pākehās first came to Howick. The name Howick has been there for a long time. The people of Howick, whether we accept it or not, it's happened, have managed to get the name put over the whole local area. Again, as a result of total, blatant, savage prejudice against the name Te Irirangi. The name has been put on the drive, Te Irirangi Drive, and just putting the drive through Otara has sliced us in two. Before that, Chapel Road was there, a beautiful country lane. The churches are still along that road, and those churches served the East Tamaki area for a long time. The Great South Road was the first road through. East Tamaki Road followed the Māori track from the south over to the east and was the main link. It went right past Te Puki Otara, the main maunga of Tara and Ngaitai in this area, along with Matangi Nui, Greenmount, and along with Te Waiariki Nui, which now is being called Highbrook. All of these areas have been deliberately taken out of Otara. Otara, the area of the Rohi, was huge, going all the way to the Hunua Ranges to Kohu Nui. But over the years, savage attacks against Māori, and particularly Māori in this area, Ngaitai te iwi, Tainui te Waka, have faced ravages on their land, and their only bit of whenua, their tūranga waiwai, is virtually the small bit at Umupuia Marae and the adjoining farm. There's still a claim on the 70,000 acres in the Hunua, and in fact there's still a claim on all Crown land in the area. And I'm hoping that all of these festering sores, these taki, can be dealt with. The land of Ngaitai was never a Raupatu. Ngaitai were loyal to the Crown as an iwi. Some of the more fiery young bucks, if you like, crossed the Mangatawhiri and fought with Tainui. And many of us think rightly so, because all they were doing was defending their own lands. They were killed, many of them, on a Sunday. Rangiawhia is a festering sore in our history. But coming back to Otara, here, we've gone from an area of over 100% down to less than 20%. And it's been deliberate. the Commission, the Boundaries Commission in Wellington have taken part in all of this, and they, beautifully if you like, maybe creating a flashpoint, put the name Te Irirangi over the local board. The people in Howick and the supporters against the name Te Irirangi were successful in petitioning this national government to change the name from Te Irirangi local board to the Howick local board. And I believe the basis of that change was blatant racism and prejudice. What do I want to see for Otara? Is at least bring the people together to talk about it. It's not what I want, it's what the people want. A perfect example is the police closing down our police station. Now this seems to be another policy of the national government right throughout New Zealand to close local police stations in the false belief that they're going to get closer to the people and work more effectively to combat crime. The only way, in my opinion, to combat crime is to work alongside the police, work alongside the local board, work alongside every single house, every single neighbourhood, and empower the streets, empower the neighbourhoods through neighbourhood support, not neighbourhood watch. We don't need the Gestapo. What we need are people committed in their own local areas, their local patch, to clean it up. And it's not rocket science, it's KISS. Keep it simple, sensible, sustainable. But most important of all, we've got to talk to each other. We've got to listen to each other. We've got to work out a practical solution on the ground, in the trenches. We've all got to get our hands dirty. First of all, start listening to each other. Communicate. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. All is not lost. Whatever happens, the sun will rise tomorrow. The sun is rising and shining beautifully today. So never give up. I'm a Scot. I'm a Celt. In fact, I go back even further than that. We've all got a DNA that takes us all the way back to one. The power of one. Ki atua tangata wairua tangati kutai tanga ki aroha nui. Ki manaakitanga ki aakitanga. That's enough for me. Caring and sharing for each other to make us one. To get us in the same waka, going in the same direction with the Holy Spirit and with God. And love comes from the ancestors, and it's unconditional love from the ancestors. And all we have to do is take on their words of wisdom, and there are many of them. The whakatauki are unlimited. We need to learn them. The Poms who came here, the Scots who came here, the Welsh, the Irish need to get together and learn Māori. And if you don't want to learn Te Reo, at least learn something about the culture, because it is all inclusive and embracing. And if you do not take some of it in my view, you're just not a Kiwi. Kia ora. Tau piri te mana, tai nui te wi. Waikato te awa hei piko, hei tani pātū tangata e mi.